Every time you watch Liverpool under Slot, you can't help but feel like he's bluffing. One week you think you figured them out, then the next game comes and his style has changed. Sometimes the change happens on the fly. That's what makes Slot so special. He is very adaptable.
It depends on the other team as well, so we change a lot.
Liverpool have an identity, but tactically they are flexible depending on the conditions. Even the fans and pundits can't predict what's coming next. But here's the thing, it's not random. Slot has been working on this from the moment he arrived at Liverpool. Training footage shows that he's already making changes to the dominant style that won them the Premier League. Now you might be wondering, why would anyone change a winning formula? Well, because even though the Reds wrapped up the league in like January, there were some cracks, issues that were papered over because the team lifted silverware. Slot analyzed the weaknesses in his own system, and now he's building something new on top of what made him so successful in the first place. You see, the foundation that Slot took over was one that was already established by Jurgen Klopp. He was never going to come in and rip up the work done by the German. That was one of the key factors in the club deciding to appoint Slot. They knew that he could follow in Klopp's footsteps due to the similarities in their style. But while Slot did inherit a team that had finished the previous campaign with 82 points, he still guided them to another level. His first big change was teaching the players to think differently when it came to risk versus reward.
Sometimes I tell them, okay, get a better judgment in risk and reward. So if you can put someone in front of the goalkeeper, please try to do so. If not, it's also a good idea to keep the ball.
This is one of the biggest shifts we saw in the 2025 season. Klopp's Liverpool was all about heavy metal football. Fast, intense, non-stop running. Slot came in and added a layer of control to that energy. They didn't want to be this all-out high-energy team all the time. Now they're okay with slowing things down, keeping the ball, and building from the back instead of forcing a transition just for the sake of it. Slot also tweaked the midfield. He often used the double pivot of Gravenberch and McAllister, with Szoboszlai pushing up and sometimes Curtis Jones joining in. These are technical players who can pass, keep the ball moving, and help Liverpool build through the different thirds instead of just going end to end. And the results, they speak for themselves. Liverpool won the title with 4 games left, playing a calmer but still dangerous style. Compared to Klopp's seasons, their touches were spread out more evenly across the pitch. They could play from deep, they could hold the ball in midfield, or push forward depending on what the game needed. Funny enough, their average possession was actually lower in the 2025 season than in any year under Klopp. That's because Slot's system, usually a 4-2-4 shape without the ball, is more about structure than it is about chaos. They still press, but it's smarter, closing central spaces and stopping teams from breaking through. This was the first big problem that Arne Slot had to solve when he first came into the job, because Liverpool were getting torn apart on counters. In Klopp's last season, teams were getting through way too easily on transition. Every time Liverpool lost the ball, the opposition had the space to run straight at their goal. Slot made it a priority to fix that, and again, the numbers back it up. If you look at how many direct attacks Liverpool conceded on average over a 10-game stretch, it's way lower now compared to previous years. Basically, they've gone from being a team that was a very easy target for counters to a team that is very difficult to break down when they lose the ball. A big reason why Liverpool's defense feels so much stronger is the way Slot changed the shape when building up from the back. Instead of both fullbacks flying forward like they did under Klopp, Slot has his team set up in a 4-2 or 4-1 shape. Both fullbacks usually stay deeper, and sometimes both Gravenberch and McAllister drop in to help receive the ball. Liverpool now keep 4 players behind the ball most of the time. Sometimes it's the 2 center backs, a fullback and a holding midfielder. Other times it's 2 center backs and 2 midfielders. Either way, it gives them balance. They attack with 6, but defend with 4. So as soon as they lose the ball, there's a layer of protection in front of the back line, like a condom. And you can see the impact in the goalkeeping numbers. In the first 34 games of the season, Alisson only faced 71 shots on target in 24 matches. In the season before, that number was 109 in 28 games. His save per game average also dropped from 2.9 to 2.2. Even Kelleher's numbers had improved, going from 2.8 saves per game to 2.4 with the same number of matches. Defensively, Liverpool set up in a 4-2-4 shape. Slot also utilized this shape in the press and when Liverpool are in a more reserved mid-block. In this shape, the Reds stay compact, then jump with purpose when there's an opportunity to press. Slot often has one of the central midfielders push higher to work alongside the center forward. Then both wingers come narrower, helping to cut off passes played to the outside shoulder of the front 2. This movement helped to limit the opposing number 8 from receiving the ball on the half turn in the little pockets of space. Szoboszlai was often the first one to join the first line when defending and pressing from the front, leaving McAllister and Gravenberch as the deeper pair. McAllister and Gravenberch really did well in their new defensive role, with the Argentine being ranked 23rd in the Premier League for total defensive duels, and his teammate ranking 28th. The Dutchman was also 13th for total interceptions, as his and McAllister's energy, timing, and overall defensive presence protected the central spaces underneath the front line. Then when they did win the ball, they were very calm in possession and quickly found the runners. Then if you somehow got by the midfield, you still had to get past the brick wall of Van Dijk and Konate. That center back partnership had been dominant. The two dominated in the air, on the ground, both are comfortable with the ball at their feet. It's genuinely frightening to run into these two guys. Combine the way Liverpool pressed with more control and possession, and you can see why Slot's team is more solid defensively.
The counter-attack, so we were talking about control, and if you talk about control, one of the things you want to prevent is the counter-attacks.
Slot ball is a direct contrast to the often chaotic football of Jurgen Klopp.
They used every moment they could to play the ball in behind or deep. That meant that the game was always also sometimes a bit open.
Arne Slot doesn't mind being open about his tactics because he's so adaptable. To him, every single game is a new puzzle to solve. To be a top manager, tactical flexibility is a non-negotiable. Slot will change how the team is building up on the fly and make tactical tweaks. A big factor has been changing the way Liverpool press the opposition and increasing the intensity and aggression of the press in the second half. If you look at this table below from The Athletic, Liverpool have consistently turned around games in the second half. Against Brentford, for example, Slot changed the press to force them long more and had the midfield be more compact. Against Leverkusen, Slot had McAllister take on a more advanced position to push Leverkusen to go backwards more. The increase in pressure caused Xabi Alonso's team to rush passes and disrupted their control of the match. Liverpool actually opened the scoring after a forced error that led to a throw-in. When they have been in the lead, having more control has been so important. It's been one of the most obvious differences between Slot's Liverpool side and Klopp's. Liverpool averaged 50% possession or more in the second half of games for the majority of the matches they played in. Before, when Liverpool were playing matches, it looked like a basketball game. Even when they were in the lead, they kept going for more. But Slot has made sure that game management is being used. Look at the game against Villa, where after Liverpool took the lead, the Claret and Blue didn't get any more opportunities and ended up actually conceding another goal. Liverpool have very much become second half specialists under Slot. Slot's substitutions made an impact almost every time, and the team often grew stronger as matches went on. If the 2025 Premier League table was based on second halves only, Liverpool would have been 19 points clear. Slot brought a new level of composure to this team. When Liverpool scored first, they almost never let the lead slip, winning 21 out of their 23 games when they went up 1-0 in the 2025 season. Even when they conceded first, they stayed cool, trusted the process, and often turned games around. Slot's calm personality really rubbed off on the players, making them more focused and confident in tough moments. Slot has been super creative when it comes to his starting lineups. Whether it was because of injuries or a tactical decision, he knew when to tweak his system. The biggest tweaks came from getting creative in the number 9 position. Against Leverkusen, we saw the first use of Luis Diaz in a central role, and it worked as the Colombian picked up a hat-trick. It was a way of disrupting Leverkusen center back Ta, who was more used to playing against a target man rather than someone who operates like a false 9. How do I know this? Because once again, Slot was very open about his decision in the post-match press conference.
So that in combination with the fact that I think Ta, who's a real good defender and is one of the best defenders in Germany, maybe the best defender in Germany, and he likes to play more against the target man, someone who's there in the middle. And we chose to play Lucio more from the left or to the midfield, and then maybe surprise him afterwards with runs in behind, not only him but in general.
In fact, if you have watched any of Slot's interviews or his post-match press conferences, you would have seen that he's already revealed what his plan is for the Liverpool squad.
Well, but their fullbacks are 9 or 10 times really high. Different systems, which is something's really hard because that means that you leave 3 defenders against 3 strikers.
So much so that some people have become worried that he's giving away his secrets. Football is a game filled with secrecy, with managers traditionally not saying much. However, Slot is very open when discussing his tactics and decisions. His blueprint has been out there. I'm just putting it together for you guys to see. Formations are very flexible these days, they change on the fly, but Slot prefers a 4-2-3-1, which is very different than the 4-3-3 that Klopp used. The German liked playing with one holding midfielder, while Slot prefers a double pivot. Then his wingers, Mohamed Salah and whoever was on the left wing, whether it was Diaz or Gakpo, maintained the width. That put them in positions to attack the opponent 1v1 as often as possible, hence why Salah and Diaz were in the Premier League's top 30 for total dribble. Then the single center forward, whether it was Diogo Jota, rest in peace, with his subtle positioning, or if it was Darwin Núñez and his ability to pin and occupy the defenders, created space for the midfielders to run into. Between the double pivots, Gravenberch played as the deepest pivot, while McAllister or Curtis Jones had the freedom to get more forward. Gravenberch supported the two center backs in the build-up, especially against a compact low block. Against a higher block where there was space available, whoever was playing in the number 10 role, whether it was Jones or Szoboszlai, was trying to exploit the opposition back line with central runs from deep. Now imagine Florian Wirtz doing that now. Either way, Liverpool are more patient in the build-up. They make more passes, take their time more, something that the players have all talked about when comparing Slot with Klopp.
I think we play kind of different football now. The manager now wants to control the ball all the time. With Jurgen, sometimes we just go counter press and just try to attack them all the time in their half. But here we need to control the game. Sometimes we slow the game down, but it's part of the plan. And yeah, that's a big difference.
Now Slot knew that to get the best out of Liverpool, he had to get the best out of his superstars. So it should come as no surprise that Liverpool have been defined by their two most important players, Mohamed Salah and Virgil van Dijk. Slot made Salah the main man in the attack, even giving him less defensive work so he can save his energy for the big moments up front, and it's worked perfectly. Salah ended the 2025 season matching the record for the most goals and assists in a single Premier League campaign, 47 in total with 29 goals and 18 assists. What makes it even crazier is that he did it in 38 games, while legends like Andy Cole and Alan Shearer needed 42. Salah was by far and away the best player in the Premier League in the 2025 season. Like, it wasn't even close. But he walked away with the Golden Boot, Playmaker of the Season award, and Player of the Year, holding the most prestigious trophies in the league like they were grocery bags. Slot had the central midfielders make a lot of decoy runs to open space for Salah. Szoboszlai was the best at it, where he would make a run through the middle diagonally in front of Salah, behind the fullback, in order to isolate Salah in a 1v1 situation. From there, Salah could decide whether he wants to beat his man and score like he did against Brighton, or if he wants to make a cross to the back post like he did against Chelsea. Liverpool's numbers in the front line gave Salah options to combine with, or teammates to create for. Runs from the other side of the pitch from Diaz or Gakpo, or more central runs from deep via someone like Jones, provided him with enough options and variety to punish teams. The beauty of Salah is that he can use his pace to punish teams on the counter, but he can also unlock a low block. His movement, his ability to manipulate the opponent in a 1v1, along with his desire to outrun defenders and score, makes it very easy for Slot to organize the attack. He immediately saw Salah's strengths and utilized those to his advantage. So it comes as no surprise that the Egyptian had one of his best ever seasons. One big change that helped Salah tremendously was the way the fullbacks were being utilized. Before, Trent would play as an inverted right back moving into the midfield, but Slot shifted him back to a more natural fullback role, telling him to stay wide. He still had the freedom to push up, but now the midfielders could handle the deep build-up play. Slot felt Gravenberch and McAllister were better suited to sitting in those central positions, while Trent was at his absolute best out wide, where he could whip in dangerous balls and create from the flanks. With both fullbacks underlapping and overlapping more, it allowed Liverpool's wingers to get into more 1v1 situations. Salah was able to send dangerous crosses to the back post for Gakpo, a link-up that became a regular threat before Gakpo's injury. And this isn't just something that you see from watching games. The stats prove it. No other Premier League team had created better quality chances at the back post in the 2025 season than Liverpool, who generated 11 expected goals from that area alone. Now Slot has Frimpong to overlap Salah, and Wirtz in the middle, who can help Salah create more chances. Another key part of Liverpool's attacking play was the way they used Van Dijk to help create space through the middle for the wingers. Usually, a captain at center back is known for setting the tone physically, winning duels, leading by example defensively. Van Dijk does all of that, but what stood out even more in the 2025 season was how much he controlled the game with the ball. No outfield player in the league had more touches than him, 3,301 across the season, well ahead of anyone else. He was the one setting the tempo. Sometimes it was a quick diagonal ball out to Salah, sometimes it was a sharp pass through the lines to Gravenberch, and sometimes he just slowed things down and calm the game. His decision making is almost never wrong, and Slot trusted him completely to read the game and choose the right option. With Van Dijk pulling the strings from the back, the fullbacks pushing high, and the wingers getting space to attack, Liverpool were scoring freely all season. In fact, out of the 34 league games on their way to the title, they only failed to score 2 or more goals 5 times, and that's without having a consistent top-level number 9 leading the line. So imagine what this team can do with the arrival of Ekitike and potentially the signing of Alexander Isak. Another area where Liverpool were very dangerous were counterattacks after defending set pieces. From their own set pieces, they could still improve. Yes, they've scored a few, like Gakpo's goal against Spurs and Trent's winner versus Leicester, but overall they're not as deadly from corners and free kicks as you'd expect from a top team. They only scored about 2.6 goals per 100 set pieces, which was the 4th lowest in the league. Even Slot has admitted they need to get better. Yet when they're defending a set piece in their own end, they become even more dangerous. Teams think they're safe attacking with corners, but if they leave themselves open, Liverpool punish them fast. There are many examples. Against Aston Villa, they cleared a corner and scored within seconds because Villa had thrown so many men forward. Against Brentford, the same thing happened. They went from defending a corner to scoring almost instantly. Earlier in the season, Diaz had scored after Jota sent them through just moments after Liverpool cleared their own box. The numbers back this up too. According to The Athletic, Liverpool had almost double the counterattacks per 100 defensive corners compared to any other Premier League team in the first 34 games. It's one of those areas that Slot didn't want to change what was already working. Instead of coming in and flipping everything upside down, he was smart. He kept Liverpool's strengths from that Klopp era, like their lethal counters, and focused on fixing weaknesses elsewhere. Outside of set pieces, Liverpool were just naturally a fantastic counterattacking side. Salah alone had 25 shots from fast breaks, which was 10 more than anyone else in the Premier League. As you can see from the numbers below, Liverpool really punished their opponents on the counter. But the big test for Slot is, can he do it again? In 2025, nobody saw this coming. Liverpool were supposed to be in transition. Klopp had left, Dutch Caillou was arriving, and most people's first reaction was, Arne who? Fast forward, and everybody knows his name now. Cause Slot didn't just keep Liverpool afloat, he flipped the Premier League upside down like your local hooker. And what many people expected to be a rebuilding year, he went out and won the whole thing. It took him just one season to do what other managers needed years to figure out. I think we all know who I'm talking about. But here's the thing about shocking the world. You can only do it once. Now every club in England knows exactly what Slot and Liverpool are about. That element of surprise is gone. The expectations are bigger than ever. And getting to the top, that was hard. But staying there, that's the real challenge. At first, nobody had an answer for Dutch Lex Luthor. The whole league got caught off guard. Remember when Liverpool smashed United? That game made headlines everywhere. Not because United lost, that's nothing new, but because Slot went on live TV after the game and basically gave a free coaching masterclass exposing every weakness that United had.
So their style is also this season, maybe last season as well, that I don't remember that well, but their fullbacks on 9 or 10 times really high, and then Casemiro comes in between. So if you pick the ball and you can keep Luis Diaz and Mo Salah high, then you're constantly in a 1v1 situation.
Fans thought he was being too open, that other teams would figure him out. They didn't. Liverpool were so dominant that by April, the league was already theirs. Players were literally flying to Ibiza, coming back to play a meaningless match, and then going back to Ibiza to party again. Even Alisson joked that he was tired of celebrating.
A little bit tired of partying.
Winning the title was incredible, but now everyone's aiming for Liverpool. Slot isn't the underdog anymore, especially after all these new players. Teams have studied his tactics, changed their game plans just to face Liverpool. That honeymoon period is over. One of the biggest lessons from the 2025 season, Liverpool needed more rest. At one point, they were on track for a treble, but by the end, they had ran out of gas. The loss to Newcastle in the Carabao Cup final really hurt. The defeat to PSG in the Champions League stung even more, especially watching the Baguette Warriors destroy everyone in the final and thinking that could have been us. Slot can rotate more now. He did it quite a bit last season. Gakpo and Diaz switched, Szoboszlai and Jones rotated, Bradley stepped in for Trent, but the squad still played too many games at full intensity. That connection and chemistry that the starting 11 had helped them win the league, but across multiple competitions, it wasn't sustainable. The good thing is that Liverpool have gone out and gone more quality for Slot. They've added big names, Frimpong, Kerkez, Wirtz, Ekitike, and with them comes a lot of excitement, but also challenges. Frimpong is electric. He's so fast and amazing going forward, but can he defend in a back four? At Leverkusen, he played as a wing back with 3 center backs behind him. At Liverpool, it's a different job. The good news is that you can teach position and discipline. You cannot coach speed. Plus, this was a dream move for him. He grew up a Liverpool fan, almost joined them as a kid.
I chose Liverpool first. And I was gonna sign for them, but back then, driving wasn't a thing, you know.
And now he's buzzing to be at Anfield. With Slot's man management, they'll figure it out. Kerkez obviously feels like the safest bet. He's already proven himself in the Premier League. He's a young, hungry left back who loves to attack. Picture him overlapping Gakpo. Defenders won't know which one to close down. Slot just has to decide how to use him best. Does he want him overlapping, underlapping, or tucking inside? Either way, this guy's gonna fit right in. And then there's the blockbuster signing, Florian Wirtz, a magician with the ball, capable of winning games on his own. But where does he play? As the number 10, on the wing, false 9? Slot has to find the right role to unlock his talent, because Liverpool haven't had this many players outside of Salah who can create magic from nothing. Wirtz changes that, if Slot gets the balance right. And of course, there's Hugo Ekitike, a raw talent with the shades of Roberto Firmino in how he links up with the play. He's still young, he's still developing, but you see his potential every time he touches the ball. The big question is whether he can handle the pressure of playing as the striker for a club like Liverpool. They've been crying out for a reliable number 9 for years. And while Ekitike might not be the finished product yet, under Slot, he could easily grow into that role. He brings something completely different. A 6'3" striker who moves like a tricky winger. And he makes Liverpool's attack even harder to stop. When Liverpool won the title in 2025, some said it was still Klopp's foundation. It was his players, his culture. Slot had just put a spin on it. But now it's his squad, his signings, his identity, his expectation, and they've never been higher. The league knows his name. That shock factor is gone. And now the real test begins. Can Arne Slot not only reach the top, but stay there? Well, to do that, the one guy that Liverpool will desperately need again is Mohamed Salah. To get his jersey, go to buygamejerseys.com and use code PETTALKS. To see how the Egyptian went from being labeled a Premier League reject to arguably the greatest Premier League player ever, go and watch this documentary right here.